Thank you very much. Dear parliamentary delegate, honorable guests, ladies and gentlemen, I think that this is, for us, a Churchillian time that we have now. We are in one of the most challenging times of our world, but this time the fight we are leading is against our bad habits. The COP26, which is currently happening in Glasgow, is critical in the implementation of the Paris Agreement and ensuring that countries undertake the most efficient measure to limit the increase of the temperature below 1.5 degrees Celsius. This has been 2 years that the world has been waiting to meet physically, and even though the COVID-19 is still very present, I congratulate the British government in terms of the organization of this very important event. On today's topic and the question of this session, to respond to this interesting question about the ingredient for a successful COP26 and how this COP, how Glasgow can shape the future. I think that the first ingredient is science. This COP is maybe the first COP where we need that all our work can be based on science. A few months ago, the IPCC, the Intergovernmental Panel of Experts on Climate Change, released its sixth climate assessment and prompted the United States, the UN, to issue a code red for humanity. The predicted global warming of 1.5 degrees Celsius and also the target of 2 degrees Celsius will be exceeded during the 21st century unless significant reduction in CO2 and other GHG emission gases are made in the coming decade. This alert is a powerful warning of things and disasters to come. Consequently, now is the time for the world to take bold action, which has never been more necessary. So, I would like to highlight or underline some of the main conclusions of the IPCC report. The first one is that we face an inadequacy of measures taken by countries to reduce greenhouse gas emission. The second is that the 2013 deadline as the point of no return if strong and radical measures are not taken. And the third one is the unavoidable effect of climate change that we must be prepared for. And the last and the most important that this report said is that humans are clearly responsible for the increase of greenhouse gas emission and, of course, for climate change. So these mounting challenges posed by the adverse effect of climate change, including drought, flood, land degradation, desertification, deforestation, loss of biodiversity, may pose additional severe challenges to achieve the target set out in the UNFCCC and the Paris Agreement, but also in other international agreements like the Sustainable Development Goal. Honourable guests, to respond to this question about how to have a successful COP26, the first point, as I say, was the recognition and the acknowledgement of the science. The second, I think, is that we can have a clear long-term target now, a clear long-term goal, and in the full respect of the Paris Agreement. In this, we have, I think, three important issues in terms of this ambition. The first is ambition on adaptation. The second is ambition on mitigation, and of course, the last one is ambition on finance. So the spirit of the Paris Agreement is based on the equal importance of these three important issues. On mitigation, if I can start with mitigation. In mitigation, we know that the target is now the 2 degrees Celsius that we agreed. It's the 1.5 degrees Celsius target that we need to follow. But we are out of this trajectory. If we follow the trajectory that came from all parties under this process, we will raise a 2.7 degrees Celsius target. And the most vulnerable region, Africa, the small island, and the LDC's country, will face more than other countries all the consequences of climate change. So this is the first thing. We need to increase our mitigation target. We need to go to 1.5. For that, it's clear that we need to take strong action, for example, on deforestation. We need to stop clearly the deforestation. We need to end with some fossil fuels like coal, and this COP want to send the signal to the world that we want to put fossil fuels out of our trajectory of development. Another ingredient, another sub-ingredient of this ambition ingredient is the 100 billion target that we talk about since 11 years now, since Copenhagen. So on the 100 billion target, this COP needs to achieve, first to acknowledge the failure to achieve this target, but most importantly is to set a new goal, in long-term on finance, because the 100 billion was a political commitment, something to build trust between parties, but this amount was not based on science. It's just a commitment to say that developing nation, rich nation, recognize that this situation is their responsibility and they want to help to support developing countries. But now we need to base this amount on science. From 2025, we need to set a new goal on finance, and this goal needs to be based on the real needs that the world, that the planet need to recover from this situation. So the first assessment that we have for this new goal on finance, it's about tenfold what we have now. So we probably need 1 trillion or 1.5 trillion to face climate change. So we need that all the energy that we have, all our finance flow go into the direction of climate change. So this is important if we want to give a future to the next generation. We cannot continue the same way, and we need to take strong action on that. I think also that Glasgow needs to launch a very important work. It's on global goal and adaptation. Everybody talks about adaptation. We try to lead, African group try to lead some negotiation on the global goal to say that we need to understand what is the adaptation. For now, we just have some adaptation in the finance. So we say that we need a good adaptation in finance. So we say that the funding that we have need to serve both adaptation and mitigation. So we have a balance of 50-50%. But we don't know what is the real goal on adaptation. We don't know what we need to reach in terms of adaptation. So we want that this COP can start this work. What is adaptation? What is for the world the adaptation need? And how to track our progress, how to assess our common progress in terms of adaptation. Because if we don't know if we need to put 1 million or 100 million on adaptation, we just put some money. But if we don't have any clear target on adaptation, it's just some money, some support without any way of assess it or to know if we are on progress or not. So this is also something very important that Glasgow can achieve, to give some space for parties to work on the global goal adaptation. I think, so the first ingredient can be science, the second can be all these global goals that we need to have in terms of finance and mitigation and adaptation, and I think that the third can be on NDCs. Because NDCs are maybe the most concrete action that parties can take under this process. So we need to have more NDCs, more ambitious NDCs, and we really need to see that these NDCs are linked to this global goal. So we have the science with target, we have the science, after that we need to have some clear target, and we need that NDC fit into this different target and build something, some plan, some roadmap for all countries, for all regions, and then we can follow that action per action. So this is important, and from now, NDCs are really out of the Paris Agreement. We are really far from what we agreed in 2015 in Paris. We are really far from the Paris Agreement, and because NDCs are nationally determined, so there is no pressure to country to come on track. So we hope clearly that Glasgow, with the World Leaders Summit that happened the 2 days at the opening of this COP, that Glasgow can send this signal to the world that we need to have a new round of NDC more in line with the ambition of the Paris Agreement, more in line with everything that sounds give us in terms of information. So this is also, I think, a very important message that Glasgow can send to the world. I think the last ingredient, if I may, it's in terms of transparency. African countries, we are not very strong in transparency because of lack of capacity and all these things, but we really believe that we cannot do all these things without a strong and robust framework for transparency. We need to see, to have table, to have a clear understanding, to have a clear communication on how each party track and report all their effort and support under the convention. So for us, this is mandatory. We need that everybody, every country, every nation can provide information on a regular basis. So 2 years maybe, or if we can 1 year, because NDCs are a 5-year period. But during the 5-year period, we need also to continue to work. And only a very robust transparency framework can help us to follow the effort of all nations during this period. So maybe I can conclude just with that, just to say that this is the 4 ingredients that I can share with you. And in this regard, I think that Glasgow is the ultimate opportunity to ensure coherence between the international commitment, the political announcement, and the concrete action on climate. I would like to thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you very much indeed.